Hey guys, George Mesa, Third Eye Edify podcast. And today's short was inspired by me because I have finally released my very first book. It is a long time coming. I guess when I was young, I was actually thinking about being an author and a video game maker and a hockey player and a lot of other things. But I did write a lot when I was little, as a matter of fact. Even to the point where I was asking, can I read my newest book in English class? In the later elementary school years, the early junior high years. So I guess this is always something that I've wanted to do. But this didn't just come on a whim. This actually came about just like this show. I had to. I feel that a lot of people can read this book and actually find some inspiration if they're already thinking this way, if they've never thought this way. And don't judge a book by its cover, of course. There's a lot going on in this little tiny book here. I think it can potentially get some people to think outside of their own comfort zones and their own boxes. And that should be a goal of everyone right now. It should be a goal of society as a whole to get people to think beyond the mental cage of their day-to-day life. Whether you're a cubicle critter or just happen to feel stuck in whatever that you have to do, just because there's a mortgage, just because there's some future that you're not sure about. All of these things are valid, and the book doesn't really tell you to change your life tomorrow. But if you start thinking about things more, you'll be able to change your life if you want to. And based on the cover, it looks like maybe there's a little more of a negative element to things, but there's a lot of negative things to be discussed right now in the world. And I really think that's a big part of it. Let me give you a small example of what happens when you first open this book. Other than, of course, getting to read the dedication to my amazing wife, or checking out that there's actually no real table of contents to deal with. There's no chapter titles. And this was intentional. I really just want the book to be a read-through with points that you can stop at. There's numbers. And I've seen this before in the work of Francis Bacon and others, particularly Novum Organum, definitely an interesting book to check out. But allow me to tell you where the book starts, because I really think it sets the tone for where I'm coming from with it and just exactly what was the point? Why release a book like this? I'm putting myself out there. This show is doing the same thing, but now it's in written form. It's different. I did just start news articles on my website as well. And please do visit my website, join my email list, grab a copy of the book. There's merchandise there. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the world of Third Eye Edify. But stay tuned to the end, please. This will be a short one. I want to make sure that you all find out about the book promotion that I'm going to have, and a giveaway of a few books to the first come, first serve lucky people that go for it. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But here's where we start. Picture me, picture yourself in a packed movie theater, as they all were for every single movie I ever saw from the 80s and the 90s, and maybe even some of the early 2000s, particularly post 2001, which is some of the last times I was really ever in a theater. I was dragged there, by the way. I was pretty busy doing other things at the time. But picture yourself as, let's just say, 9-year-old. Because as I state in the book, and it's very carefully worded on purpose, that I had not yet graduated into double digits. I was not 10 yet. And here we are. There was a lot of applause. There was a lot of mutual feelings when you go to these kinds of movies. And I meant an action movie primarily, where we get this scene at the end where the bad guy reveals themselves to have a human reason for being the way that they are, whether it's some ongoing traumatic experience or just something terrible that happened when they were young, or just having a rough life overall. whatever it happens to be, they give you the chance. The movie gives you the chance to see the bad guy as a human being, finally, right near the end, right before they die in some ridiculously gruesome and awful way, only to be completely applauded by this bloodthirsty crowd who can't wait to see this person's demise. Think about that. I worded it quite differently in the book, but just imagine for a second what that can do. What does that do to an entire culture? To have these bloodthirsty hive mind moviegoers showing up at these theaters just ready for death, ready to laugh at it, ready to clap for it, with a bunch of kids around. To see like, oh, it's okay if somebody gets killed as long as it's under these circumstances. World War U. This is how it happens. Media and entertainment truly are something of a poison. And it's a slow poison, just like the foods that you get on the shelf that are full of things you cannot pronounce. Just like the candies and the sweets that you're convinced you have to get as a dessert after your dinner. Just like the 5 coffees a day that you're convinced you need or feel that you'd want, because it's part of your ritual. Please see one of my previous episodes, Tricked into Ritual. Maybe it's episode 36. This idea that when in a group mentality, that it's so easy to convince everybody to feel exactly the same way about something in the moment. And that feeling is murder this person, kill this person, make them suffer. Look, somebody breaks into your house and you catch them. I understand. Something's going to happen. Especially if they made their presence known in a violent way. That's self-defense. And yes, I can see a case for that. This is the inculcation of the masses. This is setting up a disastrous mentality that leads to war and lots of other things where the perceived bad guy running the regime or the dictator of a certain country who has no reason to want to do anything with us is suddenly the victim of a smear campaign that leads to eventually to almost an entire country of human beings screaming for justice in the form of murder, killing, kill them all. Kill them all. Thanks, Metallica. Kill them all. They're all bad. Well, guess what? A lot of people think we're all bad because of that exact mentality. And you know you're not, and I know I'm not. I want Uncle Sam to put his finger down and not point it at anybody. I really think that this concept of bringing entire societies to think a certain way is a very large portion of, please refer to the title, World War U. I really truly believe we've been tricked into thinking a lot of things that are not only untrue, but unnatural, unhuman, inhuman. And for that reason alone, I think the book is really worth a read. Yes, this is a promotion. Yes, I'm wearing the shirt. Why wouldn't I promote what I'm doing? I have kids. I have a family. So for this to be something that can actually, provide me with something beyond my need to do it, it's an honor for me to be able to do this. And I'm honored that people are getting interested. People are going to my website. They're checking out all my links there. I'm going to have some pretty great contributors with the news articles. I've already had some, in my opinion, absolutely unbelievable guests, and I hope that you agree. And that is just the beginning. But as far as the free book giveaway, I am offering this. If anyone, and I see it right away when it happens, if any of you, the first 3 people, let me say it that way, the first 3 people that sign up to my channel and subscribe to Rockfin through my channel will get a free signed copy of my book, and I will send it to you, of course, at whatever location you'd like me to. I get your email as soon as you sign up for my channel at Rockfin. So I will contact you, and we'll go from there. It could be the start of a really great relationship, a pen pal, so to speak. Because for now, like I say often on this show, I'm just talking to this camera. And I have a Telegram page as well, where a lot of my fans from other shows as well, not just mine, we all get together. We have a lot of interesting things to say. I get to talk about some of the things that are upcoming for me. And suddenly I have all these pen pals, international. It's really amazing. And it's all happening fairly quickly. This show is almost 1.5 years old, which is already pretty nuts. But I am just getting started here. This is not going to be my last book. I already think I might know what the next book is going to be, by the way, but maybe we'll leave that for another time. But that's what I put on the table. The next 3 people that sign up to my channel for Rockfin will get a free copy of the book. And I offer similar things on my Patreon, by the way. If you go for the higher tier, there's a $5 a month and a $15 a month tier. If you go for the higher tier, you get all my Rockfin exclusives there. And then will also be available in podcast form. I am now on every podcast station that you can imagine. So if audio is your preference, I'm there too. If you use an RSS reader, my RSS feed is available on my website. I know some people don't necessarily give that out, and I'm willing to. I want people to catch me any way they can. But on Patreon, I offer a free item every season, once every 3 months. And maybe that's something for my merch store. Maybe it'll be a book if I have a book, something like that. But I figured since I am always displaying books, I might as well display my book for this particular episode. I mean, obviously with the thumbnail and all. But as you can tell, I'm very excited and happy about all of this. But it's just the start. The work, there's so much more work to be done. In order for, let's just say, this book to reach a lot of people, or for the message of this book to take its place, furthering what humanity can be and what humanity can do about things like this. We are targeted. All these free things, all this clicking agree everywhere you go. We are products. We are victims. And it's relatively illegal for the most part, but at the same time, our corporeal selves are corporations. And that is the nature of the birth certificate. If all of this is unfamiliar to you, read my book, and there's plenty of other people doing great work in this field. It's not just me making stuff up. Sure, I've got a copy of this huge Black's Law dictionary here, and that can only tell you so much. But there's a lot to everything. World War U is not just about media and entertainment. It's not just about the mindless zombies clicking their cell phones all day. Or do people even touch them anymore? They just talk all day, talking to their cell phones. It's so far beyond that. It has to do with the manipulation of music. It has to do with the manipulation of language. It has to do with the manipulation of art, symbology, and so much more. And it's relatively short. It's about under 60 pages to read. So I've been getting some really great feedback so far that it puts me in tears. It really does, because you just don't know. I'm typing away my own brain. I don't know. I don't know until I get feedback from people. And if you do go ahead and check it out, thank you so much. If you do enjoy it and think that it is worth somebody else's time, pass it off or share it with somebody else that they should get it. It would be a life-changing thing for me. And I guess this show has changed my life too. And my aim is to help others find something in their own thoughts. I know people think the way I do. There's plenty of shows and news articles and other things and books that prove that other people have already gone this path many, many, many times over with the same good intention. I think one of the successes of World War U against us is that your neighbor thinks you're a bad guy. I think that's one of the successes that they've achieved. Because for the most part, they're showing their hand and it's not looking good for them, which is just wonderful. In my opinion, it's just wonderful. But as you can tell, this episode is really just a heart-to-heart from me to you about the nature of the beast and just how easy it is to manipulate the masses. The movie theater is the best example. Just look at how zoned in people are during the commercials of the Super Bowl. You can't break someone's attention from that spell casting, that broadcasting, even snapping right in front of them. I don't think it'd be enough. Nobody can resist. The hand is coming out of the television, going straight into your brain. This is the nature of it. If this interests you, if my show interests you enough for you to be here to see this, I think that this book will absolutely interest you. I wrote it for you. I wrote it for everyone. But even more importantly, I did have a goal to write it for people that have no idea about shows like this. Somebody you yourself may know, who maybe they don't want to see my face talking for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. Maybe they don't care about the interviews. Maybe they'll tolerate it a little more as an audio format, but no matter what, the show is primarily a video show. I do show things on the screen all the time, as you know. And all I can say right now is thank you so much for being here, for listening through all the things that I've had to say so far, and just the beginning of this show. And worth mentioning also is that my amazing wife, Petra, has released her own podcast, the Earthside Birth podcast. And it's off to a fantastic start. If those kinds of topics interest you, I highly suggest checking it out. Yes, I assume that I'm biased, but I'm not approaching it that way. I know what good stuff, I know what I think is good, and I think it's wonderful. But either way, the point of this episode, I have a new book, and I'm giving 3 out to the very first people that, from the release of this episode, subscribe to Rockfin through my channel. It's not that you're just getting the book. I really think Rockfin is worth it. They're upping their game. They're getting some really serious shows. They already have some. But the closer we get to next year, the more YouTube is looking like it's falling flat on its face for this type of stuff. There's plenty of good channels that are still allowed to do their thing there, but they have to tiptoe. They got to do it the right way. So I'm doing my best to bridge the gap. The audio podcast, the YouTube episodes, they're still going to be there, of course, but more and more stuff is going to be premium Rockfin content and also exclusively available on Patreon. And I'm going to have a way to make those exclusives available to podcasts as well. I just didn't work that out yet, but that's coming. And I think I've basically said everything I had to say. I gave you an idea of what this book is like. But if you watch my show and you've seen a good amount of my stuff, or even just a few episodes, whether it's the early stuff or the new stuff, you know what the book is going to feel like. but I think I'm going to surprise you in a lot of different ways because I'm very often just talking. I don't have any notes for this one, but I usually have my outline here, and I talk a lot in between the words that I've written. It's never word for word. It's never note for note, to be a musical term. So I end with a humongous thank you to all of you. It really means a lot. It keeps me going. And check out all my stuff. And I hope to be giving out some signed copies of these books very soon. I look forward to it so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for joining me. Got plenty more where this came from. All right here on Third Eye Edify. See you soon.